This sounds ominous. A report by Bloomberg and Nanos Research indicates that the percentage of Canadians who think their jobs are secure or somewhat secure has fallen below 60% for the first time in quite a while. Let's get more from the veteran pollster, Nik Nanos. Nik, thank you very much indeed for joining us. So Canadians are feeling their jobs are shakier, even though apparently the worst of the tariff threats has receded.
Well, you know, what's clear in the Bloomberg's Nanos tracking is that we're into new territory when it comes to job security or perceptions of job security in Canada, Andrew. And, you know, I think a lot of this has to do with the overhang of the trade discussions. And maybe they're not as bad as they were before, but there's still a lot of uncertainty. And there's been some significant pressure in the last 4 weeks when it comes to people reporting that their jobs are not as secure as they have been in the past.
Did you notice any differences in demographics or regions, Nik?
Well, you know, the thing is that when we look at the numbers, that downward pressure is basically kind of across the board. You know, the thing is usually job security is one of the most stable measures that we see in the Bloomberg Nanos tracking. So any kind of negative pressure is actually quite significant. You know, you know, even when we look at our other measures on the same survey, you know, we ask Canadians whether they think the economy will get stronger or weaker. About 36% of Canadians think the economy will get weaker in the next 6 months. About 21% think it'll get stronger, and the rest say it'll be the same. So it speaks to the overall frame of people right now.
And of course, that has powerful implications for investing. I mean, who's going to be inclined to buy a new house or a car if they think their job is on the line?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, the other thing is that Canadians are much more likely to say that their personal finances compared to a year ago are worse off rather than better off. And, you know, when we look at the top Bloomberg Nanos Consumer Confidence Index, it's marginally positive. It's not as bad as it was during, I'll say, the dark days of January, February, March, and April. But, you know, the thing is when we look at some of these underlying variables like job security, they're not really trending in the right direction.
So we're looking at the long-term Bloomberg Nanos Canadian Confidence Index, a huge plunge during COVID. Of course, we didn't know what was going to happen to the economy. Yeah. Then a major rebound. Then it dropped again, and then there was a recovery. More recently, we've seen a bounce off the low, but we're still down from the peaks.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we've seen a bounce off the low that was actually during the course of the election. Consumer confidence has marginally improved in Canada in the post-election period. I think it's because, you know, there's a little more certainty in terms of the political environment. They see Mark Carney and the Liberals kind of asserting themselves and trying to manage the binational relationship. And you know, there's a particular path forward. But, you know, the thing is we're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. And it's almost day by day, week by week with new, why don't we call it, trade negotiation gyrations that Donald Trump throws at the Canadian government. It's kind of stop and go all the time.
Should the government, how should the new government of Mark Carney take these figures? I mean, it's too early, I guess, to say that this is a report card. I mean, he hasn't had a chance really to implement many of his policies.
Yeah, this should not be considered a report card. It's more of a thermometer reading on how Canadians are feeling. You know, the thing is that in the context of these trade negotiations, you know, we know or have a sense that there are certain sectors that are targets for Donald Trump, like the automotive sector. And, you know, the thing is think of these trade negotiations. We know that there are certain targeted sectors that could be at risk, but there's no sense on, will there be any new jobs? Will there be more jobs? Will there be other jobs that will benefit from the trade deal? And I think perhaps we're looking at a situation where Canadians are just buckling up thinking they'd be lucky to have a trade agreement, but that regardless of what the trade agreement is, it might not be as good as anything that we've had in the past.
So not necessarily much worse, but very different, you mean?
Yeah, in terms of there being kind of clear winners and losers. You know, the last number of free trade agreements have basically maintained the status quo when it comes to things like the auto pact, when it comes to tariffs and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, the thing is that this current negotiation throws basically 40, 50 years of trade negotiations out the window, and it's been a complete reset from the Trump on the part of the Trump administration. And I think it's this reset and the uncertainty related to where we might land that is really causing a lot of the anxiety. Because, in the past, it was more like tinkering, fine-tuning, calibrating the binational relationship. Here, we're almost starting back from zero.